Hi there, I'm Sarah, and today I'm going to be showing you how to sew a yoke to your shirt, clean finished, in a really easy way. So let's get right to it. The pieces you should have for this project are your fronts, your yokes. You need an outer yoke and an inner yoke, and you need your lower back. This is probably the beginning phase of sewing your shirt together, and it's one of the first steps that you do. All right, so the first thing you're going to do is take your two yokes. My lining is a contrast fabric to make it really easy for you to see. The markings you're going to need for this are a center notch at the lower back yoke, and your pleat, if there is one, should already be sewn. All right, so we're going to make a sandwich. We're going to put the outer yoke right sides together with the lower shirt, and we're going to put the inner yoke right side to wrong side of the lower back. So our yokes are actually right sides together, and the back is in between them facing the outer yoke. We're going to line up this edge at the armhole, sew at your seam allowance. I'm going to sew all three layers. You want to back stitch since that seam will probably have a sleeve and it will get a little bit of tugging later on, so you want to make sure that it's secure. All right, so line up your center notch to the center of your pleat and sew your half-inch seam, keeping all these edges lined up. You can pin these if you want. My seam allowance is a 1/2 inch, so just use your pattern's seam allowance. All right, and now you're going to press the yoke up, both layers. So your inner yoke and your outer yoke are both pressed up. And you're going to top stitch this seam. I suggest ironing this first. And make sure that these two yokes are directly on top, one on top of the other. You don't want them to be shifted at all. Press that seam allowance straight up into the yoke. It won't have any other place to go. And if you, you don't have to top stitch this seam, but if you are planning on doing it, I would keep it a little less than 1/8 of an inch away from the seam right here. I never skip an opportunity for top stitching. I love it. All right, so now we have our yoke sewn to the lower shirt here, and it's clean finished there. And now we're going to do the fun part. We're going to attach the front. So you have a left front and a right front. You can see my placket is already sewn on this piece. Yours may not be yet. All right, so here is my right front and here is my left front. Left and right refer to as if you're wearing the garment. So you're going to take your fronts and you're going to put them right side down to the outer yoke. So this right here is my right front, and it's going to go to my right shoulder here. I'm going to set this one aside. This yoke has a little bit of easing in it, so we're just going to pretend like that's not there. And so now we have these 3 layers. Now you want to clean finish this, so this layer right here, the lining layer of your yoke, it's going to be picked up just like this. So you have these 2 layers. Remember, this is the right side of my front, and it's right sides together to the outer yoke at the shoulder seam. And we're going to flip this around. We're going to put this one right side to wrong side of the front there. So now we have these 3 layers, and if you want, you can pin this, but what I really like to do is just get this right under the machine immediately, backstitch a little bit, stop with the needle down, and now I like to arrange it. I'm going to get rid of this pin. I like to arrange it and make sure that I have all 3 layers. The 2 layers, the yoke and the outer yoke and the front, should already still be lined up with one another. You just need to lay it down on that lining yoke there. Line up all 3 edges, keep them flush, and sew your seam. And then once you are done, you can just pull on your front there, and it's all nice and clean finished, just like that. Now we'll do it the other side. And you can start from the armhole end or the neck end. It doesn't matter. We'll do the other on this one. All right, so this is my left front, as if I'm wearing it. I'm going to put this right sides together to the back yoke, shoulder. All right, and here I am holding it at the neckline here. I'm going to peel away the lining yoke here. I'm going to put this, just flip it right side to the wrong side of the front. And then we're going to put that right under the machine. Now just don't get lost on what's the shoulder seam and what's the armhole seam. Just, if you want, just mark it with a some sort of marking device or a pin, just so you can keep track. All right, so now just going to, it's a little awkward, but once you do this a few times, it'll be really easy. Just tune out all that other stuff, get it under your machine, stop with the needle down, and now you're using the machine as like a helping hand to kind of help you get arranged, and now you can sew. And feel free to pin this, but pinning it might take more time than just sewing it. Sometimes it's funny like that. All right, so here we go. Now we have both of our fronts attached to our yoke. They are clean finished, no problem, easy peasy. And now you can press this with the iron and then top stitch it. And I just like to gently pull this apart while I do it. And so just like that, makes it much faster. Press all this. There you go. So now your yoke is clean finished. I know that's not the burrito method, but that's not the method I ever learned. I had to figure this one out on my own because I was really tired of my yokes not looking that great when I was a beginner sewing shirts. So here you go, your clean finished yoke there. You can see it in there, and I hope that helps you out. If you want to know how to put the collar and collar stand on, I have a video for that too. Thanks.